So now that the Bad Batch has shown us exactly what happened to Kamino following the end of the Clone Wars, I figured it was time to redo an older video I did on this channel a while ago. Specifically the video comparing Kamino after the Clone Wars in canon and in Legends. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, as many of us know, Kamino is the home of the Republic's cloning program. It was first introduced in Attack of the Clones and played a crucial role throughout the Clone Wars, serving as the base of operations for most of the Republic military and a homeworld to the entirety of the clone army. But what happened to it after the Republic was gone and the war was over? Well, that differs a lot between Legends and canon. So today we're going to take a look at the differences between what we see in Legends and what we see in canon. Since the canon story is probably fresh on all of our minds, let's start out with the Legends story and recap that before diving into what we see in canon. In Legends, following the end of the Clone Wars, Kamino fell under a pretty stern Imperial occupation, the Empire clamping down on the world to attempt to maintain the cloning program there and keep it under Imperial control. This really kind of pissed off the Kaminoans, who saw this Imperial occupation and were like, we can't stand for this. So several Kaminoans went off and began breeding a secret clone army. This army of Phase 1 Fett clones was being designed for one purpose, and one purpose alone: throw the Empire off of Kamino. When the Kaminoans revealed this army and attempted to carry out an uprising on their world, it's unsurprising that the Empire was not too pleased. The Empire would send in the 501st to sort of stamp down this clone rebellion. In the process of thwarting this clone rebellion, which by the way happened in the earlier days of the reign of the Empire, the Kaminoan cloning facilities were mostly destroyed. And this uprising greatly shook Palpatine's trust in cloning, specifically trust in the Kaminoans. It was this event in Legends that really spurred the Empire to abandon the clones and replace them with recruited soldiers. With Kamino still firmly under Imperial control and this rebellion put down, most of the Kaminoan facilities were decommissioned. However, a few of them did remain in operation, serving more as Imperial military bases than anything else. However, they did maintain a significant cloning program still, mostly carrying out Imperial research projects. Things like Vader's personal project to clone Starkiller, for example. We see massive Kaminoan cloning facilities still under firm control of the Empire, full of stormtroopers sort of locking these places down. And it's the importance of Kamino that leads to the second Battle of Kamino in Legends. This second Battle of Kamino was carried out when the Rebel Alliance attempted to destroy the cloning facilities on Kamino to prevent the Empire from being able to successfully clone a new army of Force-capable soldiers. This rebel attack was successful and was ultimately one of the last times in Legends that we'd see Kamino under the control of the Empire. And that brings us to canon. Now, canon is not nearly as long of a story, it's much, much shorter. In canon, immediately following the rise of the Empire, they, like in Legends, sort of clamped down on Kamino. But more importantly, they were instantly set on replacing the clone troopers. On top of that, they were also using the fact that the Empire is not the Republic to sort of abandon any contracts the Republic had made with Kamino. This left the Kaminoans without their largest customer and under a military occupation. The Empire began using clone troopers to train new Imperial stormtroopers, at that time known as TK troopers. It's during this time that the Empire would begin evacuating clones and key personnel from Kamino. On top of that, they began taking crucial cloning equipment and specialists, shipping them off to other facilities across the galaxy to serve the Empire. With Kamino basically abandoned, it was used as a trap in an attempt to catch the Bad Batch, which, when the trap ultimately failed, Tipoca City, the largest of the cities on Kamino, was destroyed by a fleet of Venator-class Star Destroyers, with the abandoned empty hulls of the cloning facilities being destroyed by Republic and now Imperial turbolasers. The skyline of Tipoca City, which was this icon of the Clone Wars, slid into the waters below, disappearing in flames and sort of vanishing from the galaxy altogether. Now that's a lot more poignant than what we see happen in Legends, but it honestly does make a little bit of sense. However, in canon, Kamino's legacy does live on. Several Kaminoans were scattered across the galaxy to work on Imperial cloning projects, which apparently there were quite a few, and we know that some of these projects are still being worked on even after the Battle of Jakku more than 20 years later. Ultimately, the differences between Legends and canon are vast. Canon ultimately tells the story of Kamino being destroyed within the first few months of the reign of the Empire, and the story Legends tells is much longer and far more complicated. A story which not only includes an uprising, but Kamino's conversion into an Imperial cloning facility. Still, these very different stories stem from the same history and the same location, Tipoca City, And if you want to learn about the history of Tipoca City, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments whether you prefer the Legends or the canon story. Do you like the idea of Kamino being destroyed pretty quickly after the end of the war, or do you like it having a longer history serving the Galactic Empire? And if you have any topics you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars, go ahead and leave them down below in the comments. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.